Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to TWF. Hi everyone. Hi everyone, and welcome to TWF Dynamite or Mike. Mike Lane, here with Tony Schiavone and with Montel Ricadius Porter. And today on Dynamite or Mike, we're going to see, well, we're going to have Godzilla or Godzilla, King of the Fiends here today. Here today on Dynamite or Mike Lane says. You got that right, Tony Schiavone said. It's been some time since we saw Godzilla or Godzilla, King of the Fiends here. The last time we saw him, it was on Miz TV when he was getting a skull crashing ending happening to him, Tony Schiavone said. Yeah, because he slighted the Miz. And the Miz had every right to scathe him, Montel Ricadius Porter says. And we wonder if Godzilla and the Miz are still foes or not. But the answer to that, Mike and Tony, I would say they still are, Montel Ricadius Porter goes. So, alright. You know what, Godzilla? It's been some time since, since me and you been in the same ring of each other. And the last time I had you, I was on the King Spink show. And I dropped you like a bad way. So, looks like me and you are gonna have that fight again. Well, let me see, Godzilla says. Let me see, Godzilla says. You dropped me from behind, but when I think back when I fought you, I beat you, Miz. See, I've been in a toy wrestling gathering since between 98 YL. And I've seen a lot of things come and go. I have won many winnings, made friends, made foes. So, Miz, you haven't been through and saw all the things that I've been through and saw. Is that so, huh? Well, let me see, Godzilla or Godzilla, whatever you want to be called. Everyone keeps talking about how you made more films than anyone else. Well, I can tell you something. Someday, someone is going to catch up to you. Whoever that's going to be, I don't know. Well, I can tell you what, Miz, that's not going to be you. Even if you went on to make more WWE films, you would never catch up to me. And I'm not going to slight anyone, because I supposedly, I made more films through Toho and through Sony and through Warner Brothers than anyone else. And no one else has caught up to me. And I haven't really been making films lately, just a few here and there. And still no one has caught up to me yet. So, you know what I think, the Miz says? You seem to think you're so more greater than me. But you're not. You weren't the first big fiend. You were not. There were many of them that came before you, and some that came after you. Remember the Beast of 5,000 Feet? That film? Or some other films? Or how about King Kong? All those two came out before you did, but all they could talk about is you. And then ever Reptilicus, the only Danish fiend film. Oh yeah, and let's not forget about Gorgo, the only 4-1 Kingdom film when everyone had to make big fiends. then Toho offshoots you, and somehow you made more than all of them. But you know what? I really doubt that you think you made more films than everyone else. How did you even do that? Look, Miz. Yes, there were Ethelish Fiend films before me. And yes, even King Kong came before me. Yes, it's true that once I came along, you had Gorgo and Reptilicus, and they only had one film. And King Kong started making all these new makes. And yes, there really hasn't been too many fiendish Ephelin Fiend films. And Gamera, well, he hasn't made any films in years. And even if he starts up again, and at the end of the day, don't forget Cloverfield and that bullshit. You know what? You seem to think you're so great, but I'm here to tell you, you're not great. You see, today, I'm going to have someone who doesn't like you. I'm going to get someone that doesn't like you, and they're going to help me beat the shit out of you. Oh, well, let me guess. Who is that going to be, Miz? You and your made-up friend? Is that who's going to beat you? Because, geez, Miz, you're not doing very well. Yeah, I'm going to help the Miz beat you, Godzilla. Tony, can you see that? Mike Lane says the Miz and Maxwell Jacob Friedman are both going to team up to take on Godzilla, King of the Fiends, Mike Lane says. Now, I thought the Miz and Maxwell Jacob Friedman were foes, Mike Lane says. Yeah, I thought so too. They both won the TWF tag team winnings together, and then one shifted on the other once they lost it, Tony Schiavone says. Yeah, well, didn't that happen the last year in 2022, YL? You think they come a long way since then? I want to see MJF and the Miz beat Godzilla. So, let me guess, Godzilla says. You, MJF, and the Miz, which were former tag team fighters, shifted on each other, and you think that I'm going to be frightened of you. You will be. Because here today, Godzilla, you're going to take on both of us. We can't let Drew McIntyre, and Duke from the G.I. Joes have all the fun when it comes to handicap matches. So here today, we're going to have a handicap match against you. So let's get a Fight Lord in the ring now. Ding ding ding. Well, it seems that MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and The Miz are going to be teaming up again. And these two haven't teamed up, Mike Lane says, since 2022 YL, when MJF came to the Toy Wrestling Gathering. Yeah, that is true. MJF right now, beating up, right now The Miz, beating up on Godzilla, Mike Lane says. And Tony Schiavone said Godzilla just only body slammed The Miz. What kind of name is anyway? And now Godzilla hit The Miz and knocked him down with his tail, Mike Lane says. Tony Schiavone said Godzilla has won more matches and more fights than he has lost in his films and also in the Toy Wrestling Gathering. I can tell you what, The Miz he knows what he's doing. The Miz just tags in MJF now, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And what's Maxwell Jacob Friedman go? He's still the AEW heavyweight fighter. And he wants to seek to body slam Godzilla. That's not going to happen. He body slammed Godzilla, Montel Radius Porter says. The AEW heavyweight fighter only body slammed the King of the Fiends, Montel Radius Porter says. And he thinks he's all that. Uh-oh. Well, Montel Radius Porter said Godzilla got body slammed by MJF. That's his great. Oh, and Godzilla just gave MJF the stunner, or the Godzilla stunner. And MJF right now is brought back in The Miz. And right now The Miz is going to be in a bind now, Tony Schiavone says. Yeah, he is, Mike Lane says. A Godzilla stunner to The Miz from Godzilla, Mike Lane says. It seems Tony Schiavone says that the King of the Fiends is going to beat The Miz and Maxwell Jacob Friedman here today on Dynamite or Might. Oh no, Montel Arcadius Porter says. We can't have Godzilla or Godzilla beat The Miz. He's a well-known show player wrestler. They're not giving him on look. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is leaving now. He's leaving The Miz by himself. So much for the team. So much for the mateship. So much for the team. So much for the bond and team between The Miz and Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Montel Arcadius Porter says. And he was my beloved wrestler up until then. Now he's not anymore. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is not my beloved wrestler anymore, Montel Arcadius Porter says. And he's and I don't like him being the AEW heavyweight fighter now. Here it comes now. 1, 2, 3. Ding ding ding. Here is your winner, Godzilla, or Godzilla, whatever you want to call him. And The Miz right now has, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Godzilla has beaten the team of The Miz and Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Mike Lane says. Who would have thought that would happen? Well, Tony Schiavone said it just goes to show you, when one stands up to the King of the Fiends, or the Kaiser of the Fiends, one ends up getting beaten, Tony Schiavone said. The only grounds to why Godzilla beat The Miz and Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Mike and Tony, I'll tell you why. Because Maxwell Jacob Friedman, he shifted on The Miz. For no ground, no sake, no why. And at the end of the day, I think that's shitty. Well, alright. Alright, Mike Lane says. Take it away, Mike Lane says. We got Gorilla Monsoon. Thank you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. I'm going to be talking with Maxwell Jacob Friedman here today on Dynamite or Might or Elite. Alright. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, why did you choose to team up with The Miz and then shift your back on him? I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, Gorilla Monsoon, there's a lot of things that folks like you don't get. Why did I shift on The Miz? Because I knew if I was going to stand a luck of becoming a three-time TWF heavyweight fighter, I couldn't blow my time teaming up with The Miz. You see, The Miz is nothing more than a Maxwell Jacob Friedman wannabe. How can you say that? The Miz got into wrestling before you. The Miz has been wrestling longer than you've been wrestling. I mean, yeah, you were in CZW, MLW, NWA, AEW, but The Miz, how can you say The Miz is an offshoot of you when some folks say that you're an offshoot of The Miz? Well, Gorilla Monsoon, need be The Miz might have been wrestling longer than me. He may have been in OVW and DSW before getting to WWE, but that's one wrestling business I haven't gone to yet. Anyway, Miz, you think you're so great than everyone. You think, look at me, I'm a show player, shifted wrestler. Look at me, I bought this great house. Look at me, I'm wedlocked. Look at me, I got 2 kids. A lot of folks You're not greater than me. And hell, Miz, I'm the AEW heavyweight fighter. And I probably held the AEW heavyweight winnings longer than you ever held holding, and you've been the WWE heavyweight fighter 2 times. But my first run as AEW heavyweight fighter is more greater than your 2 runs as WWE heavyweight fighter. Anyway, Miz, why would I want to team up with someone like you? Yeah, you're not in my standard. So, The Miz does not live up to your standards, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or MJF, whatever you want to be called. But we do know that you and The Miz started out as foes when you got to the toy wrestling gathering. That's right. Why should I choose to be a friend with him when he wronged me and he did shit to me and he shifted on me last year when we lost the TWF tag team winnings? Right, Girl Monsoon says. So in other words, someone wrongs you. Someone was a creep to you, so you get to be a creep to them. Oh, that's fair. Well, that's my talk with Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or MJF. Back to you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. Thank you, Gorilla Monsoon, for talking with Maxwell Jacob Friedman here today on Dynamite or Might. And it is all the time we got here for Dynamite or Might. I, Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, Montel Vertadius Porter, we hope you like Dynamite or Might, and we'll see you tomorrow for Impact on XSTV or Smash and Inside FS.